You ever find yourself beating up your partner's evil exes? No? Yeah, me either. But you know who does do that? Scott Pilgrim. So today I'm here to tell you whether or not it's worth your time to help him do so. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game Complete Edition, is a beat-em-up title that just got re-released and comes packed with all the DLC it ever received. So why is it being re-released? Well, that's because the original got pulled and delisted way back in 2014. And due to being an all-digital title, there was absolutely no way for people to get access to it and play it legally. In addition to that, the game itself is a bit of a cult classic, with many fans requesting its return over the years. Fast forward to this year 2021, and it seems that Ubisoft has finally heard and listened to those fans and is giving them exactly what they asked for. So is this game actually everything the fans said it was? Certainly. There's something really special here, but it's also far from perfect, so let's get into it. Let me begin with what I think is one of its strongest attributes, and that's its visuals. Seriously, this game still holds up fantastically a decade later. It's important to remember that when this game originally came out, there really weren't many games trying this sort of art style, whereas today you have so many games going for this same aesthetic. Scott Pilgrim really was a bit of a trendsetter here, and no doubt probably inspired many games after it on visuals alone. It's colorful, vibrant, and welcoming, but it's deeper than just looking good. For a beat-em-up style game, the environmental design, the backdrops, and even the character design are just a joy to look at. It's the type of game that constantly shifts your attention to all the little details surrounding the action. Not only that, but they also include so many references to games of the past. If you pay attention, you'll easily pick up on references to Street Fighter, Kirby, Mega Man, and much more. I've also been told there are plenty of references to the original comic series, but having not read them myself, I'm not picking them up. All of this mixed together really helps immerse you into the universe of Scott Pilgrim, but visuals can only immerse you so much. Thankfully, the game also does an absolutely fantastic job with its audio. The music in the game fits perfectly into both the arcade game aesthetic but also Scott Pilgrim's world. The soundtrack was made by the band Anamanaguchi, famous for their chiptune rock sound. It does a very good job of being both nostalgic but also fitting super well into the game. Now, not all songs are big hits, there are certainly some weaker than others, but overall, there are really catchy and memorable pieces here. But that's enough about that, let's move on to the gameplay itself. It still manages to shine in this department, but not as bright as before. The gameplay in Scott Pilgrim is well done, especially for a beat-em-up style game. There is a bit more thought that needs to go into playing it rather than it just being a traditional button masher. You see, you'll be unlocking moves as you level up, and some of them will really come in handy in certain situations. This is neat, but it will also have you grinding out experience later on, but more on that in just a second. What I really want to get across here is that the combat itself does feel good, the controls feel responsive, and all of it seems really well thought out. The moves you unlock are actually useful, and you will be using them a lot. This both adds a reason to keep playing, but also a bit of a downside. As I was mentioning earlier, you will have points that you just try and grind out both XP, but mainly money to give your character stat boosts. And if you're wondering why there's even a need to grind, well, that's because this game has some very serious difficulty spikes. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a game that suffers pretty bad from this. While most of the game does do a good job at providing a good challenge, there will be moments here and there that will seem a bit impossible when you stumble upon them. And this is gonna lead to either you replaying those specific segments over and over again until you beat it, or will have you going back and grinding out cash and XP to level up your stats. Or in some cases, maybe even unlock a move that may help out and make it much easier or bearable to complete. Now, this should be a given considering its RPG influences, but it is worth pointing out that if you're not a fan of the grind in games, you probably won't be happy with this. But now it's time we talk about the features. The game does support both drop-in local and online play. I should note that playing with others definitely eases the difficulty spike, but won't completely eliminate it either. There are multiple characters for you to choose from, and you will level them up individually. Each comes with their own set of attacks and some that are shared across the board. As was mentioned toward the beginning, there are also multiple DLCs included that expand the character roster and even give you some extra side modes to play. Nothing I would say is too substantial, but you can certainly have some fun with the dodgeball mode and challenge yourself with the boss rush mode as well. I should also note that the Stadia port of the game does run beautifully, and I ran into no issues playing it so far. The overall game should take about 8 to 12 hours to complete for the average user, but it will heavily depend on the type of player you are and your skill level at these sorts of games. So all in all, is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World the Game Complete Edition good? More importantly, is it worth picking up? And to that, I'm more than happy to answer yes. It was easily one of the best beat 'em up style games back in the day when it released, and while there are certainly some better picks now, it still manages to claim a spot among the best of the best right next to Castle Crashers and River City Girls. At $14.99 US, it's well worth its asking price, and if you're looking for a fun game to play with your friends locally or online, then it's an easy choice. The only type of player that should avoid this game is the type that doesn't like to grind in games, because it is a bit of a problem here. But if you can look past that, there is a very special game here, one that fans really wanted back, and I can easily see why. Either way, that's all I have to say on the matter. If you have any remaining questions, do let me know in the comment section below, and I'll answer whatever I can. Now, if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, consider hitting that like button, as it really does help the channel out, and if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. Today's end of video question is simply gonna ask how many of you have actually played this game way back when it launched in 2010. I myself am one of those people. I actually owned a copy on the PlayStation 3, but I actually didn't end up playing it that much. I was much younger, and at the time I was pretty obsessed with Call of Duty, so getting to play it again on Stadia is just an awesome experience. It's made me realize that I missed out on a fantastic game at the time, and I'm just glad that I get to play it once again. As always, thank you for watching this video. This has been Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything cloud gaming related. The Gen S community is over 7,800 strong and growing by the day, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.